should have taken first. Hi all, good afternoon. I hope I'll keep you awake after the lunch, right? So hope you all had a good lunch break. Okay, so as she mentioned, right, so we are going to talk primarily about the sustainable DevSecOps, right? So we are going to see, this is going to be the agenda, what I'm going to cover. So, I mean, it looks lengthy, but I'm just going to talk in brief about all these things, okay? The first thing, right, first, yes, you might be aware of what is sustainability, but just maybe a minute of introduction, right? So we'll see as part of the introduction, because we are talking about the sustainable DevSecOps. So we'll see what is sustainability, and then what is DevSecOps, and then how they meet together, okay? So what is sustainability, right? So we should be able to meet our demands so that, and we should ensure that even our future generation also is able to meet their demands. We should ensure that we use the energy or whatever resources available efficiently, right? And primarily this talks about the various principles and practices which aims to balance between your environment, social, and the economic well-being, okay? And primarily this talks about the, what is the focus on sustainability, right? We need to think about either a software or hardware. It's for the longer duration, right? So we shouldn't be, it should be sustained so that even the people will be able to use for the longer term. So that's the primary thing about the sustainability, okay? And it has three main pillars. One is the environmental. So basically what is the environmental sustainability? Obviously we need to protect our natural resources, right? Because there are a lot of resources, right? So it is like you need to ensure that your future generation also will be able to make use of those resources, right? And you should protect your ecosystem. You should ensure that reduce the pollution. So all these things comes under the environmental thing, right? What are the steps you are going to take, right? It's, for example, right, maybe you can do carpooling. So because of that, you will avoid some kind of a pollution, right? And then the social. So when you talk about social, primarily you're talking about the equity, right? So it's like everybody should have access to the resources. It shouldn't be like only the economically highly aware people will be able to access some resources. Even the underprivileged, everybody should be able to get access, right? So that is about the social. And the economic, right? So you are going to, it is going to foster innovation, right? When you wanted to ensure that you wanted to use the resources effectively, obviously you think about the new things, right? And the stable growth. So that's what we refer as the economic. Okay, then the important question, right? So why it matters, right? Because it is going to help you preserve your ecosystem. It is going to help you in mitigate your climate changes and protect your environment, right? So that's why it matters, right? And also it's going to help you promote equity and the resilience. So that's why its sustainability is very important. Okay, so now we have seen about sustainability because our topic is sustainable DevSecOps, okay, right? So now let's see what is DevSecOps. So obviously, as you all know, right, earlier it was DevOps and now DevSecOps. So when you say DevOps, obviously it is between the development and the operations. Now it is DevSecOps, so it is going to be the development, security, and operations. So everybody work together, so that's how it is the DevSecOps. And what do you mean by DevSecOps, right? Because you are going to embed security in your software lifecycle. So that is what is primarily about the DevSecOps. And basically how it helps, right? Because if you see in the earlier generation, even before the DevOps, what happens is, right, the development team, they develop the code, and there is a separate operations team, they do the deployment. So there is no proper collaboration between the teams. So obviously, they will develop their own time frame, and the operations team, if there is a bug, right, they do not wanted to immediately keep on refreshing the changes. They wanted to, right, say, okay, because if you deploy now, maybe there might be some defect, right? So that's where when we come the DevOps and the DevSecOps thing, so all these teams work together. They collaborate together, so there is no gap. So all work together, and you, through the proper automation, you will be able to very quickly deliver solutions. Okay, so now why DevSecOps, right? So basically the first thing is DevSecOps, because you are having your security also throughout your pipeline, right? So because of that, you will be able to identify any vulnerabilities earlier in your development cycle. So because of that, you will be able to fix them. Because as you all know, right, when you shift left and try to fix this, identify and fix the problems early, it is easy to fix and it is like cost effective, right? When the changes go to the production and some customer raises a bug, and then when you try to fix it, it becomes very costly. Because again, you have to run all your test cycle and other things, right? And the scalable security, because you are going to integrate your security as part of your pipeline, right? So throughout your pipeline, you are going to test for security perspective. So in that case, so if you are changing any infrastructure or anything, you will be able to have a scalable security. And the reduced risk, right? Because you are having a DevOps pipeline, and then you have your security tools and other things integrated with that. So you're able to identify the vulnerabilities much earlier, and you're able to address any compliance issues. Because of that, you are safe, right? Because you don't, your reputation will not get spoiled because you are early identifying before the vulnerabilities go out to the external world. Then improved collaboration, right? As we know, in DevSecOps, we are going to have the collaboration between your development team, your operations team, and security team. So with this improved collaboration, you are able to deliver secure software very fast, right? The faster delivery, right? Because of this collaboration and through the DevOps life cycle, right? So you are going to test your changes very frequently, and nowadays many applications, they are providing their fixes even in multiple times in a day, right? So that's how the DevSecOps helps. Okay, so basically we'll see the core principles of DevSecOps. So what is the core principle? One is security as a code, right? So you're going to have the code embed as part of the security check embed as part of your code. And the automation. Through your automation process, you're going to do your security checks. So that's what it is. Then shift left security. You're going to have your security tools as part of your pipeline. So you're able to identify the security issues. For example, it's like you will be doing any vulnerability check even before the code is deployed, right? So you'll do the shift left security. And the continuous monitoring. So you're going to monitor through in your pipeline, and then you'll be able to do an early threat detection and remediation. And collaboration and shared responsibility, because it's all about the teams, DevOps, all the teams working together. Even if there is any problem, you'll be able to solve it quickly. And the secure CI/CD pipelines. There are a lot of security tools available, right? So it's like, for example, static scan is there, and you'll have the secret scan. There are so many tools. So you'll be including all those security tools as part of your CI/CD pipelines, so that the security checks are done then and there, and you'll be able to identify vulnerabilities. The other important thing, the least privilege, right? So the important part of security is you need to give people access only what they need to have access, right? It is the least privilege. If somebody should have just view access, you should just give view access. So that is what the DevSecOps privilege, it says, like it enforces that. Then the compliance is the code. So obviously when we talk about security, there are a lot of regulatory compliances available. So you need to integrate, automate that also as part of your CI/CD pipeline. Okay, so now we are talking about the ESG, right? So what are the key ESG principles in the DevSecOps? Primarily, as we already talked about, it's environmental, right? So we need to see how we'll be able to save the resources, right? We need to use the energy efficient resources. Then the social. Again, we need to ensure that we have the proper social, the DevOps team, DevSecOps team have the proper ethical behavior, right? And the governance, right? So governance, you need to govern and see, right? You are doing everything secure, and the information is transparent, and we are having a safe delivery process. So these are the specific ESG principles what we need to consider as part of the DevSecOps for the sustainability. Okay, so now we'll see, right? Because we have seen what is sustainability and what is DevSecOps, right? So how they both are going to meet together, right? So one is the energy efficiency in pipelines. So what do you mean by energy efficiency in pipelines, right? So you have your CI/CD pipelines, you need to have an optimized workflows, right? And also you need to use the proper energy efficient hardware and the infrastructure. And also you'll be able to use the different new architectures available, right? You have the containers, you have the serverless architectures, you will be able to use dynamic scaling, right? When in need, you just scale up and scale down. Okay, and then the security for sustainable IT, right? So here again, we are talking about you need to have the low impact security tools. See, we are talking about having security, but at the same time, if you are having a security tool which is going to consume more energy, so then obviously the sustainability purpose will be lost, right? So that's why you need to have it. Plus you need to ensure, right, either your software or hardware, right? You need to ensure that you will be able to, you apply patching, you do the proper updates, and you will be able to use it for a long term, rather than you immediately do the recycling kind of thing, right? Then the sustainable software design. So it is going to be, you need to write efficient code, right, which is more secure, right? And with you need to use optimized algorithms. So that is about the sustainability software design, right? And then the collaboration for the green goals. So what you need to do is, right, so you need to have, because see, there are a lot of metrics, right? From the DevOps perspective, you have metrics like the DORA metrics, where you consider the deployment frequency and other things, right? So you need to have your sustainability KPIs also as part of those metrics. So in that way, right, both will meet together. So you're going to ensure that the metrics, what you're going to monitor, will have the sustainability angle to it, right? Governance and compliance. So again, you need to have the standard governance process, which you will be able to use it. And you will be able to monitor your supply chain, and then you can optimize the supply chain using the compliance and governance. Okay, so now we are going to see the sustainability in the software development lifecycle. I'm going to explain this through 3 different parameters. One is we'll see about the key sustainability metrics, what is available, and then how the environment is getting impacted from the software development to disposal, and then how software as a driver, which is going to help with the sustainable solutions. Okay, key sustainability metrics. The first and foremost is about the energy consumption. So generally it is called as a kilowatt per hour. So you're going to see, right, how much energy is consumed by your development, testing, and other operations. So in this case, you need to focus on your CI/CD pipelines. Using your pipelines, you will be able to see, right, how you can optimize that. Then the carbon footprint. So how much of carbon footprint is CO2 is emitted due to your development activity. So here you can see whether you have any redundant code or whether you will be able to make some changes to optimize the code. And the resource utilization efficiency. Basically, this is about your CPU, memory, and storage usage, right? So again, you can use the various tools and monitor, and then you will be able to ensure that you optimize your code. Then the system longevity, right? So this is again basically about either your software, right? How long you will be able to use it, right? If you have a proper maintenance and things, you will be able to use it for a long time. They'll build pipeline efficiency, right? See, we all talk about the DevSecOps and we say, right, okay, I make a change, immediately the build will run, and then it is going to, I'm comfortable because the build is going to test it and all the changes are good, right? But at the same time, we need to think, right, how many builds are getting executed, how many tests are getting executed as part of your pipeline. So versus the energy, how much it is consuming. Is it really worth, right? So you need to see if you're making a small change, whether the pipeline has to be triggered or not. Okay, so that is about the build pipeline efficiency and the renewable energy usage, right? So how much are you using your renewable energy to run your CI/CD pipelines? So if anything can be done on that, you need to, because there are a lot of cloud providers, right? So they have the green cloud providers and there are green data centers. So you need to consider using them. Then the code sustainability. So this basically tells about, right, how many lines of code or the function is getting executed and what is the energy consumed. So here, obviously, again, you need to think about, right, how you will be able to use optimized algorithm and remove unwanted code and things like that. Then the waste reduction. This is primarily about because you will be running your software in a hardware and then it becomes obsolete and things like that. So you need to have a proper recycling mechanism. Okay, so next, the environment impact of software. Yes, obviously, yes, we all have our mobile phones, a lot of softwares are running on it, right? But through the development, it is going to consume a lot of energy. First, energy, right? So it's obviously you need power if you have to develop, test, and all these things. So you need to monitor. Resource usage, right? Because see, now everyone, we are talking about AI models and things like that, but everything, it takes a lot of energy is needed. So you need to consider that. And then the carbon footprint, right? Even the power, electricity used for doing development activity, it is going to have a carbon footprint. And in the deployment and the operation phase, right? So you are going to have a data center impact, right? Because in the data center, the cooling systems that might be generating some emissions. And then you might be running like a lot of energy intensive servers, right? And then the runtime efficiency. If you are not having a proper efficient code, then obviously it is going to consume a lot of energy. Then the network load, right? So obviously we will think, right, because we wanted to store everything, right? But you need to take a judicious decision on what to store and what to transfer, right? Because each and every storage also, it needs some energy, as well as the network transfer. When you wanted to transfer the data from one place to another, obviously it is going to consume energy. In the maintenance phase, right? So updates and patching. So for example, right, if you are very frequently doing update and patching, each and everything involves a DevSecOps pipeline, so obviously that is going to consume energy, right? So you need to decide whether can I just create a batch kind of thing and deliver in a week, or do I have to do it on a regular basis, right? And the technical debt, the important point, right? So generally, everyone will have a lot of technical debt, and that would lead to inefficiencies. Because when we call technical debt means we know some improvement can be made, but we are not making that improvement, right? Then the end of life, you'll have a lot of e-waste because your software is running in the hardware, this thing. So you need to have a lot of challenges in disposing them, right? So you need to partner with some people who do the proper recycling, and you need to do that. And the energy wastage. So when you are having your legacy systems, right? So legacy systems, obviously, they would be consuming more energy, right? So you need to ensure that if you need to properly use those legacy systems. Okay, so now let's see software as a driver of sustainability solutions. So what do we mean by that, right? How software can help enable these sustainability solutions. One is energy efficiency and optimization, as we all talked about. So it helps us in writing energy optimized applications, which is in turn going to help, right? And by using the cloud provided infrastructures and the green data centers, and working on the different technologies like the serverless architecture, which is going to help you in the energy efficiency and optimization. Then the renewable energy integration, right? So when we talk about renewable energy, we are talking about the solar, wind, and other energies, right? So you will be able to integrate that with the IoT systems, which can ensure that you optimally use even the renewable energies. Then the circular economy enablement. What does it mean, right? So we will be able to develop apps which can help you in your ride sharing and other things, right? So in this way, and also you'll be able to have the applications which can monitor your supply chain, and then it can help you in optimizing it. Then environment monitoring and reporting. So this is basically about you can develop a lot of applications which can actually track your carbon footprint and can enable you in making some decisions, right, which is going to help with the sustainability. So your software, all these things, right, if you can create applications which will enable you to make the sustainability a most viable solution. Then the sustainable urban planning, right? So obviously you can have a smart city with avoiding the waste management, better transportation, right? Public transportation, you can have an app where you will be able to say, right, okay, the people will be able to share it, right? Instead of using, like a carpooling kind of thing. Then the education and awareness, right? So you will be able to do a lot of e-learning where we can provide information related to the sustainability practices, and you can create more awareness about the sustainability solutions. You can have like a game kind of thing, and you'll be able to provide incentives for that, right? So this is the education and awareness. Okay. So now we'll go in detail on these topics, the sustainable practices in DevSecOps, right? What are the practices we need to have? One is optimize CI/CD pipelines, and then we need to adopt the green infrastructure. And there are something called as the carbon-aware DevSecOps tools. We need to use that. And obviously optimize code and applications, that's very critical. And then we need to extend the lifecycle management. And obviously you have to build a culture of sustainability. Okay, so we'll deep dive in each one of them. Okay, the first one, optimize CI/CD pipelines, right? So already we discussed about, right, you will be able to optimize just by executing only when there is a critical change, or just by executing only when there is going to be like only the specific test which is needed, right? So that's why minimize redundancy. So you need to have smart triggers where you will be able to say, okay, this change is very critical, so I might have to run through the complete CI/CD pipeline, right? And also you can say, right, okay, this change is made in this specific area, so I do not need to run all the tests, I will run only the portion of test, okay? So similarly, the next one, that is the parallel and selective testing, right? So you will be able to do the parallel execution of test so that your CI/CD pipeline operation, it will complete within a certain period. So your resources will be properly used. And automate and standardize. You will be able to create your CI/CD pipeline as a template so that everybody will be able to use it. So you don't need to spend even in developing them. And standardize, right? So basically, if you now think about the DevSecOps, obviously, see, when it was DevOps, obviously, you know, you are going to write your code, then you're going to build, you're going to test, you're going to deploy, right? So now with DevSecOps, you'll have the linting, you'll have the secret scan, you have static scan, you have many other things. So you can standardize this so that anybody will be able to use it. Then monitor and optimize the resource usage, right? So you need to monitor using the various tools, observability tools, right, how your CI/CD pipeline is performing. So based on that, you will be able to optimize your resource usage. Even you will be able to use these the scalable technologies where you will be able to just bring up your server and then run your pipeline, and then you will be able to just shut it down, right? Then integrate carbon-aware practices. So what do you mean by carbon-aware practices, right? See, the different data centers and the green cloud providers, right? So there are certain areas, because when you say carbon-aware, in some place, because we are talking about the renewable energy, right? So in some places, you will get a lot of sun, you will get these solar things. In some places, there will be a lot of wind, right? And it's like in places where there is, the temperature is very low, obviously, like the cooling this thing, you don't need to spend much of electricity. So what we are saying is, like, you just run your, intensive workload in such kind of providers, in such areas, right? Because even all the hyperscalers, now they say, okay, these are the places where it is more green, right, carbon. So you will be able to run that. And secure and sustainable pipeline. So you integrate the low impact and the low expensive tools in your pipeline so that you will be able to ensure that your thing is secure as well. Then the feedback loops and continuous improvement, because this is very, very important. So you need to keep on monitoring how your pipeline is performing, and based on the feedback, you need to keep optimizing it. It's not about just once I create a pipeline, then I forget about it, right? From the sustainability perspective, you need to review and modify. Then again, next, adopt green infrastructure. So this is basically about you have to choose, because now if you're going with the data center or the hyperscalers, you select a partner who provide the renewable power providers, plus you need to ensure that which region they have the more carbon kind of a situation, right? And then leverage energy efficient technologies. So we need to here again use the energy efficient hardware, right, as well as the cooling systems. Plus you can use, right, there are certain energy efficient CPU and SSDs, which is actually going to consume less energy. Then implement carbon aware tools. So you need to implement the carbon aware tools, and you need to schedule your energy intensive work during the that particular period when there is a proper, when you have a proper resource. Okay, then optimize resource usage, right? So it's as we have been always talking, right? So you need to ensure that you are properly optimizing. You should use the dynamic scaling, auto scaling, right? So when do not over provision only when in need, okay? Then utilize multi-cloud strategies. The reason why we are talking about multi-cloud is, right? So the different hyperscalers will have the green kind of an environment under the different regions. So you will be able to split and run your workloads in those environments. Then reduce data center waste. So you can use virtualization. So in that ways, you are going to utilize your hardware to the full extent, right? And the lifecycle management, so obviously you will be able to ensure, right, you apply your proper patching and things like that. In that way, you will be able to extend your life of your software and hardware, and then you need to have a proper policy to recycle them. Okay, so implement carbon-aware DevSecOps tools. Okay, so the real-time carbon monitoring, there are a lot of tools available which is going to monitor your carbon emissions. So use those tools and then optimize your CI/CD pipelines. And as I mentioned, right, carbon-aware scheduling, right? So you know in which green providers, in which region, you will be able to execute certain applications, energy-intensive applications. You can, a lot of APIs are available, those APIs which will give you information, and you can use the infrastructure as code to use those configuration to use those such environments. Okay, so optimize resource utilization. Again, you identify the areas where there is a problem, use efficient algorithms, and then you will be able to optimize. Green metrics integration, as we already talked about, right? So as part of your DevSecOps metrics, you add your green metrics integration so that you are going to monitor always, it's like from the sustainability perspective. Then renewable friendly infrastructure. So make use of the systems where we are using the renewable energy like solar, wind, and other things. Okay, then use lightweight security tools. Yes, we have to run the security scans, but at the same time, if you are using heavyweight kind of thing, then they are going to consume a lot of energy. So we need to have a balance between running your security scans as well as, right, the sustainability, because we need to check whether do I really have to run the security scans for all the pipeline runs, or because if you are making any changes which might impact the security things, then you can go ahead and run. And as usual, right, feedback and continuous improvement. Okay, optimize code and applications. This is already we talked about, right? Code level optimization. So what do we need to do? We need to use efficient algorithms, which is going to help you in optimize the energy usage. Then code simplification. Go and check your code, right? Sometimes no, you will be putting a lot of loops and kind of thing. Unwanted code will be there. So write a simple code which is going to fix the problem. Then use the energy profiling tools, because for many languages, there are a lot of energy profiling tools are available, right? So go and use the tools and see which process is consuming a lot of energy and then change it. Then the resource management, dynamic scaling, right? Because now with the cloud, right, we have an option for using dynamic scaling. It is not required, right, that you need to provision everything and keep it ready based on your usage. Okay, now I'm running, if 10 people are connecting to my application, okay, this is the resource needed. If more 20 people connect, I just automatically scale up, right? So, and then when scale down. So in that way, you are doing the dynamic scaling. And then ideal resource management. This is one of the problem everybody faces, right? So it's like you have your system and you keep on running, maybe even the weekend nobody is using, still it's up and running. So ensure, monitor that, okay, the development systems, okay, I can shut it down during the weekend. So you need to take care. Then green software practices, right? So there are a lot of, because all the applications now it is developed using a lot of open source libraries. So identify the frameworks which are lightweight, right? Because we might think, okay, this is a library which is good, I will use it. But sometimes we don't even realize that that is consuming lot of energy, right? And also ensure that you optimize in such a way that even you don't make any excessive API calls, you make just what is needed. You think from the sustainability perspective, okay, if I make 10 calls, what is the energy which is going to be consumed? So whether that can be achieved in a single call. Okay. Then this is about the lifecycle management. So hardware optimization, right? So basically it's like if you properly update and do a regular maintenance, you will be able to use that hardware for a long time, right? If you don't properly maintain it, then immediately you might have to switch. So do a proper maintenance. And think about, rather than just replacing things, right? So just think about like how you'll be able to upgrade and use it. And obviously, each and every hardware and software, there are options to do an optimization, customization settings, go ahead and do that. Then the software lifecycle extension, right? So again, here you do the frequent updates so that your software is more secure, okay? Then the modular design. So as we all know, right? So now it's like with the modular design, you will be able to reuse it. So go ahead with the modular design, because you will be able to scale also. Because if you are having a single monolithic application, if you have to scale the entire application with the modular design. So only this specific part you will be able to scale. And obviously virtualization, so that you will be able to use your hardware resources properly. Then the recycling and repurposing, right? So the device repurposing, right? So you might be having a older hardware, right? So maybe you earlier had a data center, but now you can think about, right, whether I can run some low energy workload there, right? Instead of just immediately dumping, you can just think about repurposing. And obviously you need to work with the proper recycling programs and ensure that all the older softwares are properly recycled. And the refurbishment, right? So it's like, okay, maybe in many companies, right, when an employee joins, they will get a laptop and then somebody leaves, right? The laptop will be there. So you will be able to refurbish and use it, right? As long as it has its lifetime. Okay, so this is very important, right? Build a culture of sustainability, right? So it is finally, we need the leadership commitment. So the leadership should have a proper sustainability goals and guidelines, right? And they have to lead by example. So they have to show the way, right, how to follow the sustainability practices. And obviously the employees should know the employee engagement has to be there, because it's all together only we will be able to change sustainability. So you need to have a lot of awareness programs, tell them about, right, how they will be able to achieve, and then based on the way they are doing, you can provide incentives which will be motivating them, and you will be able to have some lot of collaborative initiatives, because we are talking about sustainability, we are trying to do something different, right? So you can form different committees, and then you will be able to foster collaboration. And sustainable operations, right? Again, resource optimization, see where there is a waste and whether you are performing some operations which is not needed, just remove them. And procure anything related to the green kind of materials and then use it. Energy management. So see how you will be able to optimize and use the various energies, even the renewable energy, right? Even though it's renewable, still you need to use so that your future generation will have the energy to use. Then the community, so have the participate in a lot of the social and other well-beings. And the transparency, the most important part is, right, if you are having any product or anything, right, so you are making any sustainability actions, just transparently show, okay, this was a problem and this is what we are addressing or we have addressed, right? Be transparent. Okay. So now we have come to the important point of challenges of sustainability. Sustainable DevSecOps, right? So we know, okay, this is what we can do it for the sustainable DevSecOps. But what are the challenges? Okay, first is the resource constraints, right? if you have to change it, right? So you're going to change the way you're working, now you're going to change, you wanted to, maybe you're just having a monolithic application, now you wanted to change to microservices, or each and everything, a cost is involved, right? And also a time. You have to invest a time to change it. So that is one of the challenge. And the other one is primarily the skills gap, right? See, not everybody is aware of like sustainability, how they will be able to have a sustainable DevSecOps, right? So the skill gap is there. And obviously the cultural shift, right? Yesterday they were doing something, now you're asking them to do something else, right? So it's a cultural shift. And the important thing is, right, see, we are talking about sustainability. Still, there are not lot of standard metrics are available, which is going to tell you, right, okay, you are in this level and now you have improved, right? So that is missing. And the visibility, right? So you have done some changes, right? So that's why we are talking about you involve the sustainability metrics also in your DevSecOps metrics, right? So since that is not there, so the lack of visibility, whatever you are doing, it is not visible. Then the balancing priorities, right? So obviously when you consider the sustainability, right? So we are talking about, okay, don't use high-end machines, maybe use low-end machine because that should be good enough. That's going to impact your performance, right? As well as your security overhead. When you are talking about, right, you are having your security tools, again, you are considering sustainability. So there is going to be some overhead. And obviously, it's like you are primarily, now we are talking about the various hyperscalers, so you have a dependency on them. And there are a lot of tools, what legacy tools, what do you have, right? It is not currently compatible with, even if you wanted to do sustainability, right? Maybe you're having your old application, say it's monolithic. Obviously, if you wanted to use the container and other technology, may not be, immediately you'll be able to use it. And the governance and compliance challenges, right? So the regulatory things, it's keep on changing, it's more complex. So that is one of the challenge. And the continuous evaluation of technology, as we said, right? It's keep on changing. Day in, day out, things are changing. You will start doing something and by the time something changes. And the legacy systems. You have legacy systems, just like that you can't throw it. So that is one of the challenge. Okay, so now we have seen the challenges. Now let's talk about how do we overcome the challenges, right? So first, how do we address your resource constraints, right? You need to prioritize your investments. Again, this is going to come from the top level, right? So if your management, they are telling, okay, yes, this is very important for us, then obviously you'll be able to prioritize investment to do that. And the open source tools, there are a lot of free open source tools are available. You start using with that sustainability rather than procuring and incurring some cost. And obviously go to the cloud, do the savings, you use your auto scaling kind of a feature, so you will be just using what is really needed. And building awareness and expertise, so obviously you need to have some awareness training program, you need to tell people, right? Because it's like giving a session to them, how it is going to help. Even if when you are running a CI/CD pipeline 100 times, if by reducing 50 times, so how much is the savings you're going to make, right? And when if you shut down your systems, when you're not in use, how much is the energy you're going to save? So you need to give the training to the people, make them aware and provide some incentives so they will use it, right? And you appoint sustainability champions, right? Who will be like a single point of contact, who will be able to help you and say you how you can get the sustainability goals. And cultural shift. Then improving measurement and reporting. So you follow the standard practices, right? And there are a lot of carbon monitoring tools, so use those tools. With that, you will be able to properly monitor and report. Okay, and the other thing is, right, because already most of you see, right, the DevSecOps, you have a certain pipeline, you have a lot of metrics available like space metrics, DORA metrics and things like that. So you include your sustainability KPIs also to that, right, balancing priorities, right. So you need to prioritize between, right, it is whether because of sustainability is going to impact performance. So you need to see, right, in which case where you will be able to put your sustainability thing so that it doesn't affect, right. And optimize your steps, right, pipeline steps, how you are running your pipeline. Do I have to execute each and every step for my change? Can I skip something? So, okay. Then the enhancing vendor support. You just go with the green providers, right, and you can go with the multi-cloud strategies, so that is going to help you, right. And then navigating governance, you stay informed, have the cross-team collaboration, that is going to help you in achieving that. And adapting to the evolving technology, like obviously it's going to like experiment innovation, right? So you have a lot of scope for innovation because each and every time when you want to introduce sustainability in your existing system, so it is going to foster the innovation and obviously continuous learning. Okay, so the business benefits, right? So finally, it's all about business, right? So what is the benefit I'm going to get, right? So because when you follow sustainability, you are not only saving the energy, 2 minutes. So you are not only going to save the energy, through that you are going to save cost, right? And then obviously, since you're, as part of your DevSecOps pipeline, you have your security and compliance, so you're going to meet all the regulatory sustainability regulations, right? And then you're going to have a good brand reputation, because now many customers and other things, they wanted to go with a company who follows the sustainability goals. Then the innovation, right? You will have will be chances to do a lot of innovation, right? And this is just a simple case study kind of thing. There are many companies who was really good. So this is just a simple scenario. Basically, you have a company where you have an option, right? That is, you just in the cloud, it is easy to provision. So people provision and the cloud cost is increasing. And there is no security complaints. So using the infrastructure as a code, or you have a proper monitoring system with the DevSecOps, using which you will be able to achieve this goal. Okay, so the very, very important thing, right? Call to action. So in your, go to your environment and just see, right? What is the DevSecOps gaps? What you'll be able to address, just go and do it, right? Use the carbon aware tools, right? So that's very important. And then primarily you commit to ESG. Just think, even a small things, whatever you're doing, if it can help with the ESG, please go and commit it. Thank you.